Drogba indirdi ceza. Snyder. Snyder gol! Allah'ım gol!
Muslera! Fernando Muslera! Golün adı Muslera!
Sarıyoglu. Drogba! This is incredible!
Merhaba and welcome to episode 9 of The Lion's Den, a Galatasaray podcast done by the community for the community. From all around the galaxy, I'm your host today, Samet, and we've gathered here today from New York, America, Brooklyn, Emre. So, Emre, have you fixed up your mic settings or you still need some time today to do it, even during the podcast?
Yeah, I think it's fine. You tell me.
I hope so. From down under Melbourne, Australia, Kroko Mazar. Happy belated birthday, bro. How was your kangaroo party?
Thank you, bro. Yeah, it was a good kangaroo party. We had some kangaroo steak.
So are you gonna join us from the toilet today?
Yeah, I'm actually traveling interstate this week, so I'm using a crappy mic. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't think it was that obvious anyway.
Yeah, people would have never known if you didn't point it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Traveling interstate. This must be an Australian thing. I've never heard. Let's just continue because we have the very future of Turkish football on our podcast. From Toronto, Canada, it's Coach Can. When are you taking over from Stefan Kuntz, Can?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm ready, man. Get me in there. We have a big one, big match coming up. I'm ready. Get me in. I'll lead us to the World Cup. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'll sort something out when we're in Istanbul. And that's it for today. Unfortunately, we don't have fact of the week with Salih. No dragonflies, butterflies, or whatever facts he comes up with. And I'm not even going to mention Yasin, who's basically is betraying us. I mean, I told you guys the past few episodes, this guy is not a Galatasaray supporter. He bailed on us today as well. So, yeah.
No comment.
He's trying to run out his contract. Go to Beşiktaş for free.
Exactly. He's trying to push the board to make a free move indeed. So, yeah, to all our listeners, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today's podcast menu, as usual, consists of some recent news we'll talk about. We'll discuss the terrible Konyaspor performance. And we have the Barcelona game very close. I think it's Thursday, isn't it?
Yep.
So we'll talk about the predictions on that game. Maybe I'll start with one exciting news. We bought season tickets for the upcoming 6 home games of Galatasaray in Istanbul. That's me, Can, Salih, Yasin, and a few other friends. Mazar and Emre won't be joining, unfortunately.
Next time. Definitely next time.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, for sure.
Are you guys a bit jealous?
Yeah, salt is very high. Contents are very high. Not gonna lie.
I'd rather not talk about it because I want to cry.
Yeah, I can feel that. Like, I don't see you guys discussing anything or like involved in any of the discussions lately.
What am I supposed to say? Yeah, guys, great job. Have fun.
Yeah, that Airbnb.
I mean, yeah,
so
have
good.
fun.
I can't wait to not be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's right all in your face because we discussed it in the group as well. So we'll try to dim that down. We made a different group, Istanbul 2022. So I wanted to bring one thing before we go on to Gala news. I had a dream. Well, I actually wanted to tell you guys the last episode, but didn't have the opportunity because we didn't have much time. Basically, I woke up from my dream, and in my dream, we were in Istanbul with the lads, just like we were planning, actually. But for some reason, Mazar was there. I guess I want Mazar to really join us. So. And we were just walking. Yeah, you too, Emre, you too. Just wait. We'll get another dream with you. But yeah, we were in Istanbul in my dream with the lads, and we were walking like Galata Kulesi environment. Very authentic, and suddenly there was this wild beggar coming out of nowhere, and he had no eyes, and basically I wanted to go because I usually don't pay attention to that because usually they're scammers. But I decided for some reason to listen to this beggar. So I said like, "Hey, what's your problem, man? Like, how can I help?" And and he says, "Can't you see? I cannot see. I have no eyes. It's a God-given problem." And basically he tells me, "Okay, there's this lady who usually helps me and I'm hungry. So let's go to her." I said, "Okay, I can give money to this caretaker of yours." So I walk up behind him and there's this abandoned building or something. I'm basically walking behind him and he goes up the stairs and like suddenly he vanishes. And somehow my wallet vanishes as well, which had like thousands of teles and my passport and shit. It's all gone. Everything's gone. And I'm fucking raging and woke up. And that's basically it. Yeah. As weird as dreams get.
So your wallet disappearing, that means you're about to ball out in Istanbul, I think.
Maybe. What is that a sign? You know, they have those books with signs and shit when you dream.
Yeah, you have some weird ones. I don't dream very often, but when I do, they are a bit crazy. But I haven't had one in a while. But that's weird. Keep your wallet close to you in Istanbul.
I don't know about signs or anything, but look at this guy. He's rich in his dreams too. Thousands of teles.
Nah, no, man, come on, I'm not rich.
And then after the dream, he spent thousands of tele on the season pass for Galatasaray season pass. There you go.
Yeah, that's true. And none of your credit cards worked, so I had to pay.
Paso, man, that's a whole other episode. Don't get me started on Paso League.
Oh no, that we need hours for that.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my God.
it's funny, you know, that I paid up like about 1K euro I spent on you guys, and I've never met you guys. Like I put a lot of trust in you guys.
Ahmet abi.
Don't call him back. Don't pay him back.
Yeah. I'll come find you, bro. I'll come find you.
No, you're right.
Did you guys have any news noted that you wanted to bring up or personal stuff?
Nope.
Nope. Just a migraine from the match today. That's about it.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So, a few news on Gala. Nothing much has been happening. So, I saw that why Morutan is not being played is due to some Turkish Federation rules, basically stating you can have 21 players selected. And the main reason for him is there's this little clause that says you need to have 3 players that are from 97 or above in terms of age, born in 1997, of course. Or 2 players would also be enough if you had from 99. And the Rize game, we had Kerem Aktürkoğlu, who's from 98, and Barış Alper Yılmaz from 2000. So that was fine. If you add Morutan there, then you need another player or something. This weird concept that I heard was the reason. I'm not sure if it's 100% right, but basically what I read. If people need us to look into it more, we could. Another news was we won the lawsuit, which basically got us back the Galatasaray adası.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
So
saw
that's-
that. Yeah.
That's
Serious.
yeah, no, I mean it's a lot of money that place brings, and the past few years during the lawsuit, it was basically messed up, being demolished. I was there in November. I saw it during like
It's in poor shape, yeah.
it's in very poor shape. So hopefully now that we won it, we can make something nice of it and earn some cash there as well. I've heard another rumor that Arda is going to quit football in June.
Good.
So
I
yeah.
thought he already quit.
Yeah. Depends on who you ask, Mas. And another interesting yeah, go ahead.
I mean, this guy's just sitting there eating cake and celebrating birthdays, bro. There's not much football left in him. I
Yeah.
pretty much do the same thing. You can consider me a footballer as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the final thing I had to note was apparently we have spoken to Man City about a loan on Kaiki. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
18 years old, pretty talentful. And apparently Dominic Torrent spoke to Pep about a loan deal. How much of it is true, of course, but we'll see.
I wouldn't believe it until I hear it from Torrent himself.
That is true.
Turkish media is unreliable. To say the least.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do some type of if we make some agreement with Man City though. Like that idea is not too hard to believe. Like I don't know about this player Kaiki or whatever in particular, but I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen in the future. That seems likely.
Torrent said it himself, didn't he? That we might need to do some deals with Man City. I think it was on his interview from last week.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a very long
Why
interview.
doesn't he bring us KDB?
Ooh.
We have Umar de Bruyne.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have him. We already have one of him, bro.
Exactly. We don't need KDB. Yeah, I actually translated his full interview on Twitter. It was a bit more effort than I realized, but I kept to it. And there's some interesting quotes actually about that. I think one thing to touch up on what you said, Maz. He says that he speaks with Pep Guardiola a lot, and that they might do a friendly or they might do transfers in the future between each other. So that's interesting. Another quote I can give from him is like, "My coming here has progressed very quickly. I was always the first coach when Guardiola was out. I also received many offers from other teams. I said no. And before Pep, I was basically the coach for 15 years, he says.
Close relation.
Yeah. Did
You think, I was going to say, you think Pep will be at the Barca game? Away and home?
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the one in Spain. But who knows what Man City's, what their schedule is like. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that he was coming out to support his pal Domenec. So
yeah,
we're staying an extra day apparently in Spain. After the game, we're staying one more day.
Oh, is that what they
said? I don't know why. Yeah, that's what I read. I don't know what we're gonna do there, but yeah. So we'll
probably
see.
Recovery for after we lose.
Yeah.
We're gonna need an extra day of sleep or something, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna see therapists before they fly back out to Turkey.
Yeah. Maybe a last quote that Dominic Torrent gave. Coming after Fatih Terim did not put pressure on me. The current situation does. I respect Terim a lot. Terim is an important name for Turkey and the world. Whoever comes after Terim will have pressure. This is normal. He's an important name for Turkey, is what he said. So basically, he knows very well into the situation he's coming, and I think he said that today after the interviews as well. I know the current situation, and I'm okay with all the loudness from the media. So he fully knows.
Respect.
I guess.
He said more about Terim than Burak Elmas did, so kudos.
Yeah, I liked his interview in general. I don't know, what did you think of his interview?
I liked it, and I really liked the part where he, said thank you for talking about, tactics when one of the guys asked him about tactics. This guy just cares about tactics. I like that. He doesn't care about, other things outside of football. And you see that a lot with other, coaches. They'll complain about the refs, they complain about everything but the game.
Yeah. He speaks well, doesn't he? Like, he speaks with a lot of sense.
He's composed.
Yeah. I've been impressed, actually, with the times he's given interviews, like post-match interviews or whatever it is. I think he also had a little thing on BN Sports as well, like a one-on-one interview. Like, everything he says has logic behind it. Like, he never really makes comments where I'm like, comments that are really far out there or I'm questioning. He speaks pretty fairly and with common sense, like I said. So I'm happy he doesn't seem like a big ego guy or anything like that,
Doesn't speak between the lines. He just says what it is and what is not. Like, this is this is that.
Yeah. And did you, there's something he said today after the game as well, which is interesting. I'd like to know what you think about the statement he gave. He basically said, I did not make this squad. I got this squad, and there's 5 players too much in this squad.
That's fair.
What do you mean? What do you mean that's fair? There's 5 players too much in this squad?
Well, I don't know if he's talking from a standpoint where, this team isn't playing exactly the way I want it. That is fair. He can't really play the ideal play style in his head with this team because he didn't really build this team. which is fair. I'm not complaining about that, but we brought you here to make something of this team, right? So you have to make it work. Otherwise, why did we bring you, right? And I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I don't know. He like some of the players he's trying to utilize is just bad. Like I don't know if that's like a personal preference, but him choosing to play Babel over Morton sometimes, even though you told me about the TFF having X and X requirements, it's like a double-edged sword with him. I don't know. Yes, he doesn't have the right players, but then again, he's not making the right choices himself. So I get what you're saying, Summit.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, I get you didn't make the squad. You don't need to say that over and over. This is like the third time he's saying this. I get that. But there's too many players in this squad. What do you mean by that? 5 too many players. Send them to under 19 or I don't know, just give him a holiday if there's 5 too many, if you don't want too many players. That's what I was thinking.
Arda's not even a part of this team, so I don't know why he's counting him. Make that like 4.
Maybe that's what he means.
But you still have to count him. I think what he's trying to say is there's too much dead weight. So we have 3 strikers. We have, Halil is pretty much dead weight at this point because we have Gomis and Mohamed Mustafa. Then we have, like you said, Arda. That's 2 players already. That's just dead weight. We don't need that. That's just extra space for no reason. That's space that we could be utilizing for the youth players because I know Torrent loves the youth, loves using the youth.
Then why didn't we get rid of them during the, half if they were such dead weight? I mean, you can get rid of Arda.
I think there'll be some movement for sure in the summer, especially, which I'm assuming we're going to continue with Torrent, right? So I think if he wants to say he doesn't, he didn't build this squad, I don't know if that's beating around the bush to say this team can't play the way I want them to. I don't know if that's what he's getting at, but in the summer, I think he's going to get a chance to move some players and perhaps bring 1 or 2 in that might complement his style or his structure a bit more. So we'll see what happens when he gets a few more players he can implement a bit better. But yeah, I don't know what he means exactly when he says that, but definitely some dead weight, like Mazhar said. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think he means with the dead weight? I think Mazhar called out a few. Arda, Halil. Who else do you think he meant with 5 players?
Alparslan probably. Him and Alparslan just have not been getting along whatsoever.
Yeah, that sounds right. Those 3 sound right. And then I guess 2 more. That could be tough.
No, come on.
I think that's who we would say is dead weight. I think he seems to fancy him a bit.
I actually disagree. After today's game, seeing Pulgar, I'd rather have Thailand.
Well, yeah, that was. We'll get into that. I'm not too happy with that.
Yeah. Maybe that's a bit our cue.
Yeah.
Oh, Morton as well. Doesn't seem to fancy Morton as much as well.
Or Sasha Boy. He was really pissed at Sasha today.
He didn't put a great performance in, I'll tell you what.
That's true as well. Yeah, maybe that's our cue to go into the match day today. Or should we do something special? Should we get a listener in to ask some questions if they have any questions?
Maybe at the end.
Well, I can do.
We have a lot of anger built up, and we need to let this out.
Yeah, we need to vent a little.
Okay.
This is like group therapy, like weekly group therapy.
We're supporting each other.
That's true.
Let's do it, boys.
Well, going towards the Konyaspor performance, a quick recap on where we stand between each other. So Konyaspor is 2nd in the standings, and Galatasaray is the 12th. We can become the 13th if Sivas wins against Antalya tomorrow, which is currently 16th, Antalya. So that's going to be interesting for us as well. Against Konyaspor, our first XI, our first 11, we started with Van Aanholt, Marcao, Nelson, and Boe on the back. Berkan and Pulgar in the midfield. And then Kerem, Çikıldağ, Emre up front with Gomis as the striker. And I'd have to say Berkan was a bit more up front. I didn't see him actively in the defense, so you could maybe say 4-1-4-1 even. but the three up front with Gomez were really pushing it far, and yeah, we'll get to that later. Something nice that Morutsan was in the reserve on the bench, so that was interesting as well. Yeah, that's basically it from what I see. So we lost 2-0 against Konyaspor, and yeah, well, let's start with Coach John.
No pressure, bro.
Oh man, lots to say. So obviously, it wasn't our best performance. It was pretty bad, actually. I thought everyone played pretty poorly, maybe aside from a couple players, which I'll touch on. But in total, it was a bad performance. The first half that we played, so we went down. It was 2-0 within the first 20 minutes. So that kind of played into I think how we approached the rest of the match after that. So that wasn't the best start, but just in terms of how we were playing in the first half, I noticed some differences in this match compared to the last few that I think were tactical changes, changes that were made on purpose by Domenec Torrent. And one of them, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we were a little bit narrow in build up and narrow in general. I think in possession as well. Like when we were building, I noticed it was the strangest thing. I thought maybe it was just a one-off sort of thing when I first saw it, but then it continued happening over and over again. And that was Van Aanholt when we were in build-up and possession, drifting into the middle, and he was playing in the middle. And we saw Berkan sort of go a little bit higher up the pitch, and Van Aanholt was sliding in beside Pulgar. And I thought that was strange. And then, I could kind of see where Torrent was going with it. I think he was just trying to establish some numerical superiority there, to try to help maintain possession in the neutral area of the pitch, and to help counterpress when we lose possession. We would have the numerical superiority there to try to win the ball back quicker. And that didn't happen. That did not happen at all. It made absolutely zero difference. I think Konya were amazing today in chopping that up. Any build-up or any attempt we had to go forward was absolutely destroyed. They broke that up right away. We couldn't put any passes together, couldn't use our width properly. And I thought that one of the biggest issues we had, not only in the first half, in the second half as well, we could not advance at all. Like at all. We were stuck in the same area of the pitch. We had no way to go forward. We couldn't play through any gaps. We couldn't break any lines. We couldn't do anything in the final third, let alone get the ball in there. So I have to give them credit. They did really well to block that up. And I noticed that sometimes when they were defending, they were sitting in what almost looked to be like a 4-4-2, like a nice tight 4-4-2 block that was just, like I said, breaking up everything, man. And, when we did lose the ball, unfortunately, like Emre has been saying the last few weeks or a few episodes, that defending quality has been going down. And today, oh my God, our transition defensively was absolutely horrible. We could not transition whatsoever. And I don't know if that had to do with how we were playing more narrow today or what it was, but the transition when we lost the ball was, oh my God, it was killer. It was really hard to watch. So that's my ideas for the first half. What do you guys think?
If I may, I actually just see my notes. What I noted down is I feel like Domenec took a big risk in having a very clearly game plan telling Berkan not to be involved in the defensive midfield.
Right.
Because normally he's the workhorse, right? He's back in the back, in the front, he's everywhere. But like this game, we saw him basically like in the role of Chikildao as an attacking midfielder and not really helping much in the defense. So I feel like Pulgar was pretty much left alone. And one thing you pointed about Patrick van Aanholt, that was Pulgar's support. That was, I guess, the game plan. That was the plan to have that numerical superiority.
Right.
And yeah, Patrick van Aanholt was basically next to Pulgar most of the time. And that's where we lost, I think, most of the game, because that gave them a lot of chances to play very easily in our midfield. That's also how they came to the first goal, basically.
For sure, yeah.
And like you said, Konya is very solid in their block formation. Basically, a very organized team. And I'm not saying they're very great in attacking football. I don't think they have a lot of good attacking players even. But just being very organized and not really depending on individual quality as well, because they didn't have to do much, because Gala was giving away a lot of open field, open chances anyway. Which brings me to why, Domenec, why we are Galatasaray. We need to play a certain game. Why are you playing different tactics each game based on the opponent? Just pick something and play it. Isn't that what we were complaining about with Fatih Terim as well? That every game it was something different?
You know, like it's like I think it might have been last episode that I mentioned it. I'm wondering, you know, I appreciate him taking a minute to analyze the opponent and, you know, trying to figure out what we need to do to win the match. But I mentioned last episode, it's like, I wonder if he's just over analyzing things. You know, like this isn't a Premier League. This isn't a La Liga caliber league. It's just not. It's just not there. And it's like I'm wondering if he's over analyzing things and we're getting into trouble because of that. You know, like does that make sense?
Yeah, possibly.
You can't keep changing tactics with this team. It's just not viable.
Yeah, we don't exactly have the deepest squad to sort of accommodate for these different play styles and tactics and things like that. Like I don't know. I think he just needs to realize.
I don't know. He did say I have 5 too many players.
Yeah, yeah. And,
well, you didn't say they were good,
or the right players. You know, the type of players that he needs. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's difficult now. Like where we are in the table, the matches we have left. Like our next game, we're playing away to Barcelona. Like that. Think about that. That is a ridiculous thing to sort of comprehend. We just played the type of match we played against Konya. Like, okay, they're second in the league. They have a pretty good team. They're an organized team. They're doing well. But now we have to go away to Barcelona. And that's... I don't even have words to explain that after what I saw in this match today. So
that's an Elden Ring boss right there.
Yeah.
Bro. We're going to get pummeled.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make a reference.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the first half, though? Like, about the way we were playing and how Konya sort of held us?
Miles, you want to take this?
Like, bro, like, I'm trying not to curse because I want to keep this family friendly, but like we're just playing like shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my French, but look, I got to give it to them. Like you guys mentioned previously, they had a great system going and it was working for them. But we handed it to them on the silver platter. Like I don't know what Dom was thinking with having Patrick Van Aanholt drift into the middle to have Pulgak. It's just not going to work. Like I just need to ask this question: is too much tactics, no tactics at all? We're changing tactics every week. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like someone mentioned, I think we should stick with one tactic and micromanage, like do micro adjustments against different teams. I think that's what Fatih Terim was not doing, which he should have done, which he probably would have still been coaching if he stopped being so stubborn and changed his stuff every week. And now we're having the same problem with Dom. Like it's pretty scary. And Jan reminded me that we're versing Barcelona away next game, which is scary, but
horrifying, right?
I don't know, man. Like it's in the first half we got like one shot, right? I think we had like 1 or 2 shots that were like okay. I remember Gomis had one that was like very weak.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys one thing. There was this one possession where we had the ball in their box and they called offside, but the offside flag wasn't up. Like,
yeah,
what was going on there?
I don't know if they...
You mean with Gomes?
Yeah, I don't know if they called the offside, did they? I think he thought he heard a whistle and then stopped playing and like picked up the ball because I think he thought it was offside or something, right? But the ball was live, I think, unless I saw that wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
He thought he heard the whistle and he just picked it up. I don't know.
I never seen that before.
Interesting.
That's so weird. He literally and he fooled everyone too. If you guys watch that back, like all the defenders and all the Konya players just stopped. Like I think they thought it was like because he stopped playing, I guess, right? They just kind of stopped as well.
I was about to say dome tactic.
Yeah.
One thing you don't do is like you continue even if it's on offside,
Oh, of course.
onside, and yeah, that was a bit lame when I
Yeah.
saw that, unfortunately. But first half, yeah, not much to say. I didn't see Chukudao much this game. Wasn't really happy with his performance. And I could say the same with Berkan, but at least with Berkan, you can see he's trying, you know? He's trying a lot and makes an impact to the game because he's got that workhorse. He got the kilometers underneath him to push and pressure the opponent. But he's just so incompetent. I just, like, he had a few positions where he would just went for the shot. And I was thinking to myself, just don't shoot. You can't do it anyway. Just give the passes. Just let someone else do it. And yeah, I wasn't happy with his performance either. And
I
another,
feel like
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
one last point I wanted to make was, I think for Dominic Torrent, it's pretty clear who his starting 11 is. I love Boe. Even though he played bad, he's young, he should play in my opinion. But in Dominic Torrent's eyes, I think for him, Omar comes first and Ryan Babel. I wouldn't be surprised if Dominic Torrent started Ryan Babel against Barcelona.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Yeah. And I think for Omar, I'm with you on that. I think that he is leaning more towards Omar, but like Omar's a good player. I like him. I think we have two good right backs, but I would like to see Bowie get a bit more, I guess, more consistency. You know, a more starting minutes. I think that we could really groom him to be a solid player, and he's so young too. Like I think we should be developing him as much as possible. But you know, as for right now, I do think Torrance prefers Omar.
Mm-hmm.
We have seem to have bad luck with like promising young players. Whenever we get someone we really like, they get injured, then they come back and start playing like, you know, shit. Why are we cursed?
Yeah, we're cursed, man.
Damn it.
We're cursed ever since we broke the curse.
Yeah.
Winning against Fenerbahce.
Exactly. We thought we broke the curse, but we just created a new one. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Everything's been going down since then.
Yeah, it's true, man. If you think about it, as soon as we broke the curse, we created friggin' 10 other curses, man.
Well, I actually hope we lose that Calico.
Oh yeah, let's start another, you know, string of losses there.
Yeah, I don't care, man.
Yeah, as long as we win the championships and European success.
Those guys need some joy in their lives, all right? We'll give them their one derby win, all right?
Actually,
I need nothing.
Yeah, that makes me feel good now. We're not Fenerbahce supporters, so that's really makes me good.
Yeah,
feel good. Yeah,
yeah. We lost at home. I don't even remember. You know, I don't care.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this group therapy session is working.
Yeah,
we need to do this more often.
We're healing. We're out the denial phase.
Yeah, maybe moving to second half a bit. No changes in the second half. We started with the same starting 11, and well, to me, I didn't see much difference. I think what he said post interview was that the main issue was the 9 position, striker, and the midfield, and I think he did some changes at the 60th minute, moving Taylan in for Eric Bulgar and Omar for Sasha Boe, and then Babel. And then later on, he also added Morutsan in. What did you think about the second half, Mazar?
Second half was, I guess, slightly better than the first half. We had a couple of good looks. I think 76th minute, I want to say. Was it 76th minute? We had a really nice shot on target, but at the end of the story, it's still the same thing. Still the same issues.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a question, Maz. What do you think our problem is in general? Is it something we can fix with the current squad with tactics?
No.
Do you think we're improving under Torrent?
Honestly, no. Why? Because defensively we suck, essentially. And the fight to tell him our defense wasn't this bad, as we've been saying for a number of weeks now. And progressively it's getting worse. Our main problem, in my opinion, is the fact that we have a brand new coach. And there's no really getting around that. He needs time to build his game plan and his tactics. But my issue with him is the tactics are changing every week. So how are you building something if you're just going to change it every other week? So I guess we just have to wait until the end of the season. Nothing's going to happen this season anyway. There's no Europe for us next year. I've written it off. I think everyone should write it off at this stage. Mm-hmm. See what happens in the preseason. Maybe a transfer or two. We don't really have the funds, the money to make any big transfers. So I'm just scared we're going to have the same problem next season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Emre.
No, he's right. I mean, well, barring all the, coach talk, I don't know. He's changing tactics all the time. And my biggest gripe with Torrent is, like he said, the defense. This defense was not this bad. And I think that is being chalked down to the way he's utilizing Berkan. Berkan's way too high up the field. He's pressing in the front, but he's like leaving. I don't think it's necessarily his fault, but our midfield is like basically empty. There's nobody to really go and challenge anybody from the other team when they make moves. Our wingers are up the field too. Even our left back and right back are up there. Like Bowie was high up the pitch, like on the far right corner, like on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. Same with Kerem. And what's his face? PVA was the only one that was like staying back more often. I don't know if this was a personal tactic from him or PVA style, but we just commit so many players forward that we're leaving a lot of gaps in our midfield. And then Marcao and Nelson have to compensate for this.
Mm-hmm. And
then Pena too, in essence as well. I don't know. I'd prefer Berkan be more central because, like you said, he has the workhorse in him, and he's able to go from defense to attack much more easily. I'd rather just Jijal Dao be the guy who's in the midfield and forward.
Yeah, I think a big problem with the way that Torrent wants to play and the type of style he wants to implement, I think a problem with it is that it's heavily dependent on our midfield players, and I don't think that we have suitable players for that. And when you look at the other teams he's been with, the other teams he's managed or he's helped with Pep especially, like if you look at let's take the golden age of Barcelona, right? Well, who did Barcelona have playing there? They had Iniesta, Xavi, and Sergio Busquets like all the time. And that's unbelievable. And those are players that like those three players. I've never looked at those three players in the same light that I would look at a superstar like Ronaldo or Messi. Like those are players that are really, really good and really effective in the play style that they're put in, right? And that play style that Pep sort of created and tailored to Barcelona, they were so good in that system. Right. And I don't know, like if you would have taken like Xavi and put him in some other team, I'm sure he still would have been a fine player, but I don't think he would have been as effective as he was in that team. So I think the players we have right now are not suited to the way he wants us to play. And you have to ask yourself, like, it's his responsibility then to look at the players we have and find a way for us to play that will suit, the talent that we have. And it's the same thing with Bayern Munich. Like I think a lot of the times when Bayern were playing, I think they had Xabi Alonso, Philipp Lahm, Alaba was playing there, Bastian Schweinsteiger was playing there, and those are players that like suited that system, right? So I don't necessarily think we have a bad team. It's just that I don't think the players suit the style he's trying to implement. And like I said, that's heavily dependent on those midfield players, because as you can see when we play, like today, especially, we couldn't even string together like 3 or 4 passes. And it's like you go from one end of the spectrum to the other. On one end of the scale, we have a team where we keep like 70% of the possession in the other team's half, but there's no purpose. We just knock the ball from side to side. And then the other end of the scale, we have a team that can't even put together 3 or 4 passes like we saw today, right? So it's tough, man. And like I said, you know, he was dropped in a shitstorm. So I try my best not to come down too hard and wait it out. Let's see what happens. I know it's really difficult, but you know, at the end of the day, it's his responsibility to look at the talent we have and come up with some type of plan to make those guys effective. So I don't know, man. Frustrating times.
He put himself into the situation. So I can't really say, well, yeah, sorry, man. No. Well,
I mean, it would be unfair to really bash him for what we are currently in, the situation we are currently in. I think I always keep saying this. He needs the full contract. He needs to sit that out. I don't like destabilizing it. Like, I don't want to become another Fenerbahce, rinse and repeat, all the coaches going back and forth. So I want to see him after the summer transfer window and then properly assess him.
well, let me ask you, what are we going to do in the summer window when we're already strapped for cash and we have no Europe? He's still going to have to play with maybe 80% of this team. So it's not like we're going to wipe this whole team and build a new, you know, XI.
And that's why the board is getting so much shit. They need to prepare for that already as of today. They need to start looking into the summer transfers already. And I hope they're doing it. I mean, that's why we got Luis Campos, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
So I'm in a certain way, I'm hopeful for something to happen. I mean, we got a good advisor. We got connections now to Man City, connections to Pep Guardiola. Who knows what we're going to do in Barcelona? Maybe speak to a few players there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And it's like also, you know, no one is saying that we absolutely need a brand new squad from top to bottom. Like, I'm sure even if we introduced 1 or 2 players into our starting 11 that, you know, quality players that might suit Torrent style a bit more, I'm sure we would see some improvement there, because sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes there's just
Jetson?
1 or 2. Yeah,
Jetson
there you go.
match.
There you go. I guarantee if we put him in there, we would already instantly see a difference. So imagine you take another player of his quality, or even less quality, but just more suited towards Torrent, somewhere else, maybe a winger or a 6, anyone. I'm sure we would see a difference, right? So
yeah,
I don't know if, you know, some people are saying, man, we need like a whole new squad from top to bottom. I don't think that's the case. I think 1 or 2 players will see an improvement, and we can just build from that, you know?
it's the midfield, right? And
Yeah.
I hate to repeat myself, but look at Jetson and what he's doing with a very poor Rizespor.
Yeah.
He's man of the match consistently since he came. And this is someone that was said to be not ready. And we get Pulgar, who's apparently not ready either, if you look at Pulgar. I mean, I get Pulgar as well. I mean, he's here on rent, on loan. He's here on loan. He doesn't have strong ties with the club. Only, 6 home games left? Meh. Why should he put in the effort? It is what it is, and he's just going to do what he's going to do. And that's why Jetson was so important for this team. And that's why I also understand why the board is getting so much hate. Because they couldn't round up such a deal, which Beşiktaş did, like, within a day. And I'm not sure if we can improve on this, because we have no money. And you need money to finish transfers on time. And if you don't have money, your transfers are still going to be coming in as on last minute. And I hope it will change with Luis Campos and all the connections they're building. And I hope we will continue with what we have started now with Domenec Torrent and Luis Campos. Because if the board changes and we change everything again, that's just so tiring, man. That's just so tiring.
Yeah, and that's a vicious cycle to be in. Like, no club wants to be in that, because when you get used to doing that, it's hard to get out. Like, when you get into that rinse and repeat, hire a manager, sack the manager, hire him, sack him, bring another president in, you know, it's a headache, and it's hard to break out of that. So I really, really hope we take it, deep breath, take things a bit slow. Let's see how it goes. We have Campos, Sensibile, and all these guys that have come in. Let's see what they can do, and let's take it from there. But as of right now, definitely, I think going into the summer, I think some new midfielders need to be brought in, because the ones we have right now are just not. They're just not there. They're just not clicking together.
Yeah, Thailand, Berkan, Chikaldao. That midfield is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially if they're on the field all at once. It's just, we've seen it over and over that it's not working.
Exactly.
That's a good point you make. Going back to your Barca reference, Xavi and Iniesta, they completed each other. They worked
absolutely.
Well. They meshed.
Absolutely.
These guys, they don't. They don't, man. They don't. Look, Berkan and Chikaldao, sometimes they're like on different brain wavelengths, man. I don't know what they're doing sometimes.
Yeah.
Passes are off.
Yeah. And think about it. And think about those two. And behind them, to complete that trifecta, is Sergio Busquets, who's like, he's still playing well. He's still a really good player. And he's like the anchor there, like right in the middle of the pitch, He breaks up play so well, intercept, like those three players, it's just the dream trio there. And they work so well with the system that was implemented. And I think that's what we need. We need to sit down and say, okay, what kind of players do we need? What are we trying to achieve? Which players will help us achieve that? And, obviously Domenec Torrent came mid-season, so of course he didn't put this together, but, as of right now, it's a mismatch. It's an imbalance of players that we have. Like Thailand, Berkan, Chikaldao, all these players, Pulgar, they're just thrown together, there's no harmony in those three. So it's
just Menemen without taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Nelson and Marcao are probably the only two that have like decent chemistry between them. Yeah, I know they're conceding almost every game, but I don't think that's primarily their fault.
Yeah, for sure.
No, of course not. If Marcao has to pick up the left back role and his own, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What did you think of Morutsan, Emre, this game? Seen him at the 80th minute come in for Emre Kılınç?
Well, first off, Emre Kılınç had a very poor game. I would say just as bad was Kerem as well. One of his most ineffective games I've ever seen. And it seemed like Torrent wanted to utilize both Emre and Kerem the same way he did last game. Throw the ball over, create some openings for our wingers to get into a one-on-one position. Get past their opponent and then cross it into the box. Kerem lost, I think, every single one-on-one he had today. I think same with Emre. And going back to Morata, he wasn't really on for too long, maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. I'd say he did okay with the time he was given. He actually opened up some space, took a decent shot at the keeper, but got it right at him. I would like to see Morata more, because he's good for teams that close up. He likes to dribble with the ball, get in there, take one-on-ones. Yeah, he's not winning every single one-on-one, but he opens that threat, that door, potentially, to get into the box. And I'd like to see him over Babel. I know he played great last game, okay, but Morata is our future. You need to be able to implement him into the system much more easily. That's my thought about him.
And that as well, like, just to sort of complement what you said, and going back to something I mentioned as well about there being an imbalance of players in the midfield. Right. I think I mentioned this before. From the day he came, I didn't want to see him on the wing. I wanted to see him in the midfield. And I know that he's not the most physical player. He might not be the strongest player, but at least he offers something different from Pulgar, Thailand, Berkan, or Chikaldao. He's a creative player. He can dribble at players. He can unlock defense, like a back line. And I don't see that. I don't see any other midfielders doing that. So at least he has some attributes that are unique that we could maybe benefit from. Because I don't think in my opinion, he doesn't play well on the wing. Like, I'll never look at him as a winger. My idea and my ideal of a winger is a different type of player. So I don't think he's very effective there. But he does offer us something else in his dribbling ability and his ability to carry the ball. And I think that could be useful there. But I don't think we'll ever see him there, unfortunately. But that just goes back to what I was saying about the imbalance. right? We don't have any creativity or anything. It's like we have 3 players that play exactly the same almost, give or take a few things. So I've said that about Morutan, Morutan before, but I don't know if we'll ever see that, unfortunately, which is a shame, you know?
I mean, our only
Do you
creative
think it's too
player.
much though?
Hmm?
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say our most creative player is Kerem, and when he's not effective, our team just
Oh,
fails to do anything up front. But what were you saying, Mazo?
I think, yeah, I agree with you, Jan, but I think sometimes Morutan carries the ball too much and takes
for
on
sure.
too many one-on-ones, and a lot of times it doesn't win them. So I think that's why Dom doesn't prefer him to play.
Yeah. Well,
And I
that's
agree with him, unfortunately.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's where the player development comes in. Like, I could say the same exact thing was going on with Emre Mor when we had him. He was doing the same thing. You know, as talented as that kid is or was, you know, he was doing the exact same thing. He was taking on 5-6 players at a time, and he would get past most of them and then lose the ball at the end, which would make that useless, right? So I don't know, man. If we can develop him and turn him into a more useful player in a better position, I think it would be worthwhile. But I don't know if anyone in our club has those thoughts about him, or you know, maybe he's one of those 5 players that are one too many. So I don't know. Who knows?
I'll take the chance on Moratan losing the ball over us doing absolutely nothing and you looking useless. I'll take that chance that he does get past his,
For sure.
opponent and create something.
For
'Cause
sure.
what we've been seeing is absolutely lackluster. We barely got into their box to do anything.
Well, for me, in order to have players like Morutsan shine, that raw talent to really shine and show what it's worth, you need to have an established, organized team. And I don't think we have that currently. So I don't think we can really utilize these raw talents that much. And hence we need players like Babel and others, well, older experienced players to first keep on that organized consistency in there. And I think that's also why Dominic Torrent prefers Babel, of course. And I think it was 2011-12. This is where we were really doing that, and I was really hopeful when we started with the 4-4-2 system, when we had Selçuk İnan and Felipe Melo, and that was so great. 4-4-2, everything would be organized. We would have a youngster come in on the wingers. They would perform the same. They would shine, and our under 19, under 18, under 16, all of those were playing the same 4-4-2 system, just to make a culture, to make a habit of a system and a gameplay. And that's basically what Barcelona is doing for years now. And that's what we need to do.
And that's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point. It should be from top to bottom in a club. The philosophy should be established across the entire club. And the entire club should say, this is our identity. This is how we're going to play. This is what we're going to do. All of our teams. And that's how you really bring talent up that can slide into the first team on any given day, right? That's a great point. And we definitely don't have that. That's for sure.
Not even close. And I think the day we abolished that was when we had Snyder. And don't get me wrong, I loved Snyder. Amazing individual talent. But I was so sad we were breaking that philosophy that we had built into the team, top to bottom, 4-4-2, no matter what. And Snyder coming in had to break that. He's a classic 10. He did great, of course, but from a team play, organized team play, who you could basically win Real Madrid with nobodies, we became more heading towards individual class, having Snyder, Drogba, and we're trying to find that now as well with likes of Morutsan, Kerem, but you're not going to gain any success if you don't have an established, organized team, which Konya had organized themselves very simply, right? They were solid. Nothing too fancy, no individual power, just an organized defense and exploiting the opponent's efforts.
And do you notice how much we struggle against an organized team?
Yeah.
The second a team is organized and they have structure and they know what they're doing, we absolutely shut down. And the teams that don't have that are near relegation, those are the teams we're picking 3 points up against, right?
Of course, yeah.
So
and but the thing is, the same team in Europe under Terim were really organized in the defense.
That's our strongest thing. Was the defense. And I think Terim played to that strength in Europe. Yeah, people
For
say we
sure.
got lucky. No, we played the way we were supposed to play with what we were given, what we have. But yeah, go on, Summit.
Yeah, no. I just hope that I don't know. I don't know if Dominic Torrent will say to the guys, forget everything I taught you. Just play like you did in Europe, what was taught under Terim, and then we'll see probably the defense shine again. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Oh, maybe one
we
thing.
can't. Mm-hmm.
Marcao hasn't been his old self, I feel like. I feel Nelson has been shining much more. Maybe that's because of the tactical choices and how Torrent plays them. I mean, he's still good, Marcao, but I feel like he's much more vulnerable and out in the open when he makes defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but we do see Nelson shine a bit more. I feel like he's like the old Marcao, basically.
Yeah.
And I
Nelson's
think he's
positioning's
too busy trying to
immaculate.
cover.
Go ahead, Mas.
Marcau's just too busy trying to cover the left back and every other position that's left open. So I think it's a bit unfair to say he's not his old self. He's just picking up a lot of slack.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like, and what I mentioned before was that the difference between our team now, and our team with Tedim is that, I think that, our backline and in terms of defending, I think we're relying a lot more on our players' individual defensive performances, because I think our defending has decreased as a team defending, right? And exactly what I said today, our team defending was horrible. Our transition was absolutely non-existent. There was no transition. We would lose the ball and it just wasn't happening. So I think that's one thing we were doing better with Tedim. Our team defending was a lot better than it is now. And now, since we don't have that, we're relying on these individual performances from Nelson, Marcao. Like Maz just said, maybe our left back is not quite there, didn't transition properly. Marcao needs to cover. So I think that's what we're lacking. That team defending needs to improve, or else we could be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other points for the game, or we can start discussing the upcoming game against Barca?
Oh, good point. I hope we don't play this type of game against Barca, because Jesus,
Yeah, that's gonna be.
we're gonna have
scary.
a bad time. But yeah, obviously he's not gonna go and play this type of game against Barcelona.
Let's before we move towards our predictions for Barca, let's have one listener question, just as a test for this episode. So let me just add him here. All right. This is Eren from Austria. Eren, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the episode. I understand you had a question for us.
Hello, my name is Aaron, just as you mentioned, from Austria, Vienna. And my question would be, Samet Abi, if you guys regret sacking Tidim, and if you could go back in time, if you do it again, knowing what happens next.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Eren. Wish you a pleasant day. John,
luck,
you want to
brother.
take that, or Emre, you want to take that first?
Sure. I mean, I've said from the get-go that I hate sacking managers midway through the season, bringing in a new manager, because that's a big risk that you fall into. And prior to bringing in Torrent, I don't think Tedim was that bad. I think it was more or less like some of the decisions he could have made it better. Because this team wasn't playing, like we were talking about, our defense was not this bad, and we were actually getting into positions. And now we can barely get into positions, and our defense is worse. Of course, we took that risk, and I think we lost that bet, but we don't know exactly if Torrent is the type of guy you need to give more time. But I don't know. I definitely think that we should have at least stuck with Ted until the end of the season, because we weren't that bad. We weren't great, but we weren't that bad.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
And like for me, for that question, I kind of fall on like almost on both sides of it, because I agree in a sense with Emre as well. Like my problem with how we were playing with Terim was that, well, I had a lot of problems, but my main problem was that we weren't scoring goals, and all of our losses were like 1-0, 2-1, like by really slim margins. So I think if he would have found a way for us to start scoring more goals, I think it would have been a different story. But at the same time, you know, I am also against making this type of change mid-season because it's so difficult. Like we said so many times, throwing a coach into a shitstorm in the middle of the season, like that's pretty much a death wish, right? So I as much as I love Fatih Terim, and I look up to him so much for what he's done, but I did want a change as well. I wanted to move into the next era, the era of Galatasaray, that exists after Fatih Terim. And I did want that. I just didn't necessarily want it to come mid-season because of how difficult that is.
Yeah. And what do you think, Mas?
Yeah, the boys made some great points, and especially what John said last. I think no matter how much of a quote-unquote Tedimger you are, there's a piece of everyone that wanted Tedim to just move on, retire, move on. Personally, I wanted it to be at the end of the season and not halfway through, because if you're going to get a coach halfway through the season, and I don't mean to belittle Domenec Torrent's career or anything, but he wasn't really well known, right? You can't get like a kind of no-name coach who doesn't have too much experience as a head coach. It's a very risky move, and I guess Elmas had a lot of courage to do something like that. But to answer the question, I think sacking Tedim was a bad move.
Yeah,
because we have regressed, we have gotten worse every single aspect of our football. Unfortunately, defensively we're worse. Offensively, I'd say we're worse because we can't even get into the final third.
Yeah.
Like, what else is there to say? Like, if we're not better in any aspect, it was a bad move to fire Tedim.
Tedim is a tough act to follow too. Then you have, the fan base split in half because you didn't send them away in the right manner.
It comes with a whole bunch of other shit, basically, like letting go of Tedim. It's not just letting him go and we rinse our hands with it. It's a whole bunch of other shit. So
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the coin has two sides. Well, first of all, if Eren from Austria was a good listener of ours, he would have known what we already thought about this. We answered this question. Let's bash a bit on our listeners, right? But the two sides of the coin is, yes, I regret sacking Terim, and no, I don't regret sacking Terim. For yes, I regret sacking Terim, is a lot already has been said. Personally, I would have loved to see him finish his UEFA run. He is still a very important figure for Galatasaray, and the way he parted should never have been like this. So finishing the season and saying goodbye in a nice way would be preferred. And on the other side, leaving behind the Terim era as soon as possible, start building something new is something we needed to do for a very, very long time. Because let's face it, the club, I don't want to say poisoned, but it was filled with, might have people that really love the club, but also a lot of unprofessionals.
Toxic. It was very toxic.
Yeah, hobby culture, unprofessionality, and I hope that's what we're trying to build, that professionality, get into professional football and not continue with people like Selçuk İnan. Oh yeah, he's my daughter's nephew's son. Let's put him there. Arda Turan. Oh yeah, no, I know him for years. Let's put him on the bench. So that's basically the two flip sides of this coin. And you could say, yeah, Bayern Munich has been going on like this for years, only having people from the club within. But we are missing that professionality. So, hey, not to drag this too long, so I'll get your predictions first. And then if you want to say a few things, you could do so for the Barcelona game. We're playing in Spain, in Camp Nou, against Barcelona and Galatasaray. So, John, what's your prediction?
Okay, so it's not a very optimistic prediction. So there's two things to this. Quick, I'll make it really quick. If we come out and we understand that Barcelona are a far, more superior team in every aspect of football that there is, and we try to defend a little bit and escape Spain with a good result, maybe 1-0, a tie, that's just unspeakable at this point. If we do that, I think we can get it done in Istanbul, but I don't think that's going to happen. So my prediction for the first leg of Barcelona is 3-0.
Okay. Not much to say about that.
Yeah,
Emre?
that's it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so I think we're definitely gonna lose. There's no question about that. Looking at Barcelona's tenure so far under Xavi, he's been improving every game, and he's incorporating players into a system, moving things around, and it's still working. He basically moved Dest to left back last game. He put Gavira instead of Frankie De Jong in midfield, and they still smashed Athletic Club 4-0 without breaking a sweat.
Scary.
So, and Aubameyang, he was lost in Arsenal. He found himself again in Barcelona, and now he's gonna come and find himself in our game with possibly a hat trick. So I'd say maybe 3-0 minimum.
Okay, and Mas?
Oh man, this is. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be at least 4-0 loss.
Okay.
Like I don't see us getting past their defense, and I don't see us stopping their game plan either. It's just not gonna happen.
For me, I'm gonna be very naive and optimistic. I like to be very optimistic because I believe with Galatasaray anything can happen.
Good. Speak it into existence. Speak it into existence.
Exactly. I'm just gonna throw out all the logic I have in my head. In Camp Nou, knowing Torrent, and I think he said in the post-match review as well, we are prepared. We know exactly how Barcelona plays. Yeah, knowing how Barcelona plays, I don't know if that's enough for Barcelona.
Does he know how we play though? That's the question.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be 1-1 draw, and I hope we can do that because that's gonna be super important for our Istanbul trip.
Hey, Summit, I got a bridge to sell you. Are you interested?
And I'm gonna keep it with that. So, guys, I think that rounds up our episode. We spoke a lot of interesting stuff. Is there any other last point you wanted to make?
We'll see everyone on the other side after the Barca match.
Yeah, our next episode will be in Istanbul, so we'll speak to you there, Emre, Mas. And
have fun, boys.
Yeah, for our listeners, don't forget, we also post a lot of stuff on Twitter. So feel free to follow us at the Lions Den GS, Instagram or Twitter. And we'll speak to you next time. Thank you for listening.